I am happy to take part in this adjournment debate where we are debating the speech that the President made yesterday in Parliament. Our party's position has always been that President Wickremesinghe is an experienced leader. He might be a leader of a party that fared very badly at the last general elections, but the fact that he as an individual is an experienced politician and someone who can in fact contribute at this juncture, especially with regards to the economy of the country, is not something that we question. What we question, though, is with regards to the mandate that has been given to him at a time when the people have rejected their mandate that they gave at the last general elections and at the presidential elections. And this House has accepted the fact that the people have in fact rejected that mandate because the former Prime Minister resigned and subsequently the former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also resigned. So they need not have resigned if they didn't believe that the mandate that the people gave them has been withdrawn by the people. So when the people have withdrawn that mandate, and when that Parliament, which stands as discredited by the people, chooses to appoint President Wickremesinghe, who was also rejected by the people, whose party was rejected by the people. He, as a long-standing member of the UMP who used to get the highest number of preferences, got less preferences than me, who represents Jaffna, where the population is almost 1/10 that of Colombo, or if not even less. So, Honourable Presiding Member, the point is, when you have a president who does not have popular support, when you have a president who is discredited, taking up an office, when in fact in line, when you look at who should be appointed before him, he is the last. His party is the last to be considered. Parties of the Northeast come before him. The JVP comes before him. Mr. Mano Ganeshan's party comes before him. When such a person is appointed, whose purpose does that serve? And in that sense, Honourable Presiding Member, what we say is, if this country is to progress and come out of this mess, it is not just mere economics. Today the mess is also political. And if you can't create political stability, then the economy can never recover. It will only be to a certain level that you can grow. But you can never recover to the extent that is required in order to bring about a turnaround. So that is the qualm that we have. And that is the reason why we say that you need a fresh mandate. This Parliament does not serve the people's interest. People outside think that we only serve our own interest. And for as long as that persists, you will never have stability, and without stability you cannot have sustainable growth. And that is the truth, Honourable Presiding Member, and that is why we say that the sooner we deal with the financial situation by going to a fresh mandate, the more credible it will be in the eyes of the people, and thereby it will be also seen, whatever steps that are taken thereafter will also be seen as credible in the eyes of the international community at large. Now here we have a situation, Honourable Presiding Member, where the government wanted to bring the 22nd Amendment. It's an amendment that they themselves brought because they did not want to abolish the executive presidency. That's the truth. But they themselves withdrew it. Why? Because they realized that they don't have a 2/3 majority. So now they are trying in some way to extend a hand across and try to say that, look, this is an important time. We all must come together. We must work together. But if that genuine appeal to the opposition is that we must cooperate with the government in trying to bring out this country from the mess that has been created, then the question that we rightfully must ask is whether you want the Tamil members of parliament that represent the northeast support. Because whilst in this house you have the president, the prime minister and all senior members of the government appealing to members of the opposition that we must cooperate, in the northeast this government is carrying on a very, very hostile, taking up a very hostile stand to what the Tamil people see as their core interests. This morning I stood up when the speaker was in the chair, soon after the leader of the opposition spoke, and I very briefly raised a matter of urgent public importance, which is that Kurundur Mele, which is an ancient Tamil worship site, way back in 1933 when the British were here, was gazetted as an archaeological reserve. There were 76 acres that were identified as containing archaeological artifacts and needed to be researched. And that gazette is here, I have it with me. But now what is happening, Honourable Presiding Member, is that you have the military along with the archaeological department asking the surveyors department in Colombo to send people and to survey and demarcate 292 acres surrounding that original 76 acres surrounding Kurundur Mele. Now this 292 acres that they are trying to survey has nothing to do, there is nothing legally to suggest that it is anything to do with this Kurundur Mele archaeological preserve. Instead, this land belongs to people who are suffering because of war. They could not go and toil their land. For almost 35 years, they have been displaced. When they are trying to pick up the pieces, when the country is in shambles economically, and when these people are trying to find ends meet to feed their family, you're demarcating 292 acres to take over for some archaeological purposes, quote unquote. It has no legal stand. Absolutely. So when we heard this and when the people protested, the minister concerned, Minister Vidura Vikramanayaka, gave an assurance to this house that any such step will only take place after the consent of all stakeholders, including the members of parliament that represent the northeast. Not only that, on the 20th of September, just last month, he met with the Honourable Charles Nirmalanathan and the Honourable Sridharan in parliament, in the government lobbies. I have a photograph of his meeting where he met in parliament, in the government lobbies, and he assured them that no steps will be taken by the surveyors department or the archaeological department to survey those lands without a full inquiry taking place and the members of parliament representing the northeast being made full aware. In fact, on the 20th itself, after that meeting, a letter went out from the archaeological department to the surveyors department saying that all activities with regards to surveying that Kurundur Mele area is to be stopped forthwith until further notice. And despite those assurances being given, again today you have the military and the surveyors department sending people from Colombo going all the way in the darkness of the early morning hours, beginning to survey. I have photographs, Honourable Presiding Member, of them laying archaeological stones, demarcating that 292 acres that we were promised will not go ahead. So this is how the government is behaving. Not only that, Honourable Presiding Member, we have a situation from Kokilai to Nayar. From Kokilai to Nayar, the Mahaveli Development Authority had earmarked an entire area comprising of 6 GS divisions to be taken from the Karathurapat Divisional Secretary in Mullaitivu to be taken over by the Mahaweli authority. Again, we raised these issues with the Honorable Chama Rajapaksa, who was the minister concerned, and also other concerned ministries. Again, we were given assurances that no such steps will be taken without the consultation of the members represented in the Northeast. A committee was to be appointed. A committee was to be appointed. That the committee never was appointed. We were all supposed to go and have an inquiry. And it was only after that committee is fully satisfied will any further steps be taken. But I hear, Honourable Presiding Member, and I'm saying this with utmost responsibility, that a cabinet paper has been prepared and submitted to the cabinet to get approval to go ahead with those 6 divisions, 6 GS divisions to come under the Mahaweli Development Authority. We all know the history of the Mahaweli Development Authority's actions in the Northeast. Honourable Presiding Member, you yourself know it. You yourself know it is one of the most racist departments that this country can ever produce. It, along with the archaeological department, are the ones that are carrying out the structural genocide of the Northeast, deliberately changing the demography of those areas. Not just the Tamils, but also the Muslim-speaking, the Muslim people. These are the departments that are the vanguard of the racist nature of this state. And they are doing it again. They are doing it again. Behind closed doors, after repeated assurances being given to this House. And it is this government that is asking for support, bipartisan support. Bipartisan support. Honourable Presiding Member, the reality is President Ranil Wickremesinghe is showing his true face. This is the only conclusion that we can come to. Let me tell you, Honourable Presiding Member, in 2001 to 2004, when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was Prime Minister, President at that time was Chandrika Bandaranaga Kumaratunga. When President Ranil Wickremesinghe as Prime Minister signed a ceasefire agreement, we supported him, even though we were in opposition. When President Kumaratunga took 3 important ministries in the middle of the peace process, we supported him. I personally lobbied to make sure that the TNA's 22 members, 16 members support him in that no confidence motion. That is how much we wish to support him if he was doing the right thing. If he was doing the right thing.
Honourable Member, you have 2 more minutes.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
This is despite the fact, Honourable Presiding Member, that we were complaining in the peace process that there was no forward movement. Right? So our bona fides are such. If we realize that a person is genuine, even though we might think that he is not doing the best, we will support in principle. But what his government is doing today is utterly racist, Honourable Presiding Member. Today they show the world that they want the support of the opposition, including the Tamil parties and the Muslim parties. But what they are doing is perpetuating the racism. Perpetuating the racism. You are only keen on Sinhala support. You are only interested in Sinhala people's interests. And that is the tragedy this country has faced. And that is the curse that will keep bringing you down unless you change your ways. I therefore ask the senior members of this House, let common sense prevail. Don't do this. It is this curse that has brought us to this situation. You are in debt because you wanted to destroy the Tamils, but you couldn't. Instead, you are getting destroyed as well. You're not only going to destroy the Tamils or the Muslims, you're going to destroy yourselves as well, and that is what is happening. That is what is, and the saddest part is that you're bringing down the innocent people who have nothing probably to do with this, other than vote for you all, also down. So I ask you, let common sense prevail after 75 years. Don't go down this path. Don't make enemies and think that you can play the race card all the time and think that the people won't one day catch up. Thank you.
Honourable Member, thank you.